In 2023, we all know that Cobra have been crushing it with their drivers for quite some time now, ever since the F9 in my opinion. So is this year's Cobra Aero Jet LS any better than last year's Cobra LTDX LS model? You see, you could go and buy last year's model and save yourself around £150. That could go towards your golf lessons, it could go towards green fees, a golf trip with your buddies, and it could even go to a new putter, some new wedges, or even put towards a new set of Cobra Forge Tech irons if that is what you are wanting. Or should you invest in this year's Cobra Aero Jet LS, and could it be the best driver of 2023 and potentially the best driver you've ever had? You see, both these drivers have lots of similarities, they also have lots of differences. In my opinion, I actually do prefer this year's Aero Jet model. I prefer the looks, I prefer the colour scheme, I prefer the audio feedback as well, which we'll get to in this video. The one thing I don't prefer is the name. Like, come on. Really? You see, last year's Cobra LTDX LS, it looked okay for me. It actually looked very Callaway Maverick-esque with the colour scheme. You'll see it featured two weights here which were movable, a 10 gram and a 3 gram, so you can move them to be more a draw or a fade setting, but you'll also see those weights are moved more towards the front. That is to make this the low spin model. We also have that power core, we have the thin ply carbon technology, we have the HOT face, we have the CNC milling on the face as well. This thing was jam-packed full of technology, but just failed to deliver. Well, let me explain. See, so many people don't care what a driver sounds like and feels like as long as it performs, which I think is absolutely fine. That is your opinion. I think if you're spending, well, upwards of £300–400 on a club, which actually you can pick this up for around £270–280 now, brand new, which is my whole point behind this video. What you lose on this, would you be better off saving your money and going and getting something else towards your game, going and getting a few lessons like I said earlier, or should you go and get the latest and greatest? Even if it sounds not fantastic, we're on a short par 4 here into the wind. This is quite tight, so I need to hit a really nice straight drive. And if I can hit that shot there, a lovely knuckleball fade straight down the middle of that fairway, are you better off saving your money? Like I said, I'm not a fan of the audio feedback of this. I'm not a fan of how it feels, but is that even important? I really like the way this looks down at the ball. I really like that matte carbon finish with the two ridges on top. For me, that does look nice and pleasing. It puts me a little bit more relaxed. I like that we've got the colour scheme around the back of the club as well. That really shows me just how much area this club does have, just how much real estate it does take up. And when we start talking about the new driver in a second, it's a little bit different. Can we get a big one out here? Like, that is an unbelievable ball flight. That's exactly the same as the first shot, and they're going to be bang next to each other. So if you want a nice consistent driver that's going to deliver you the same numbers time in, time again, is this the club that's going to do that and save you a little bit of money? I always thought Cobra were onto a little bit of a loser in a way that the F9 was so good, then we had the Rad Speed, then we had the LTDX. Which one is going to be the best one for you? Because the prices are going to stagger, but the fact you can still get these brand new screams to me absolute bargain. Then you look at the brand new Aero Jet. For me, this has way more shelf appeal. I do like the look of this. I do love the colour scheme of this, and it looks totally different on top. You see, it's still a carbon top. It's a totally different carbon weave. It's a shiny carbon weave, and we've not got the ridges on the top either. For me, the head actually looks quite a lot smaller visually down at the ball. That might be something you like, it might be something you don't like. I'm really looking forward to getting in the studio and testing both these clubs and just putting them head to head and just seeing what that extra £150 gets you. Does it get you more consistency? Does it get you more ball speed? Does it get you a better spin rate? If it does any of those things, potentially it might be worth the money. But if it doesn't, and it just looks a bit shiny and is named after the new Tom Cruise film, I don't know. One of the big advancements that Cobra did with this Aero Jet was give themselves the ability to manipulate the weights better in these heads. So you'll see this club actually has way more carbon on the bottom, and it has a 12 gram weight and a 3 gram weight as opposed to a 10 gram weight and a 3 gram weight. So you do get more adjustability in that club. However, when I've tested these clubs and moved those weights around, there wasn't much of a difference anyway. You'll see these weights are more spread out as well. So in my opinion, that does give you a little bit more forgiveness than having those weights a little bit more central. We also have the power shell technology here. The power bridge is still there. It's just moved a tiny bit further back. We don't have that CNC milled face anymore. We do have the HOT face, but these faces look totally and utterly different. I think that's what gives you the different feel and sound on the Aero Jet. You see, I said I didn't like the sound of the LTDX. The Aero Jet sounds like this. Like, that is a different world in sound and in feedback. The ball flight's exactly the same. I dare say when we get down there that you're going to be able to throw a blanket, even a head cover, over those 3 shots. That felt phenomenal, and you can really see where that ball was struck out of. It really, really did sound good. For me, Cobra haven't made the best sounding drivers in quite some time now, realistically, but that was up there. It just has to be struck pretty central. Look at that shiny top there. That does, that's going to appeal to some people, and some people are going to hate it. Okay, I can tell there's going to be loads of people in the comments screaming at the keyboard, smashing the phone and saying, James, why on earth would you pay more money for a club that just sounds a little bit different? We're going to get in the studio, we're going to test these clubs in just a moment, but for me, that sound, oh yeah, that was really nice. The thing that I really like about both these clubs, these are 2 smashing drivers, I must say, 2 fantastic clubs. If you are in the market for a Cobra driver and you're not too sure which one, I'll hold my hands up, you're not going to be disappointed with either. It just depends exactly what budget you have and what you want to spend your money on. Guys, let's get in the simulator room, let's see just how these 2 drivers do compare. Then we're going to have a sudden death head-to-head match to see which driver can give me the longest drive out here on the golf course. So I went in the studio and tested the Cobra Aero Jet LS against the LTDX. I started with the LTDX LS and I really enjoyed it, to be honest. I forgot just how kind of low spin you could get this driver out there, although it didn't feel amazing. I think the Aero Jet certainly feels that a little bit better. I think I prefer the lack of CNC milling on the face. I don't know why, that's just my personal preference. I certainly hit the Aero Jet straighter as well, which was quite notable. I could kind of fade that back into the fairway nicely rather than it staying a little bit left. You can see these numbers are pretty identical, to be honest. Very similar ball speeds, incredibly similar spin rates, and I would say these are pretty much identical numbers because they would all overlap on their standard deviations anyway. And if I really, really got them both, I think they're both going to be pretty good low spin drivers. Okay guys, very interesting numbers there, very, very similar numbers, really struggling to split those, and just like we are out here on the golf course, I said earlier you would be able to throw a blanket over these shots, and I wasn't joking. As you get down here, you'll see that they are incredibly similar, just like those numbers. So do you want to save yourself some money, get last year's model, maybe invest in some lessons and green fees into your membership, or do you want the latest and greatest? I think it depends what you've got in the bag at the moment. You can see we have an Aero Jet just down there in the middle of the fairway. That was the last shot that we hit. We also have an LTDX just here in the right hand rough, and then those 2 neck and neck. These are all going to depend on what kind of kick we get, because it is a little bit wet down here. Let's take it to a head-to-head, 1 ball, and let's see which one's the longest. Okay, this may shock you, but this is the hardest driving hole here at Woolley Park Golf Club, and if you're a keen avid viewer of my channel, you may actually never have seen this hole, because I try to avoid it like the plague. And we're going to go with this one first, which is the LTDX. We're just going to hit this as hard as we can. It's uphill, it's into the wind. Everything about this hole, I'm not going to lie, I really don't like. So we're going to open the shoulders up and see just which one we can get up there. Very, very similar drives. I think it depends, to be honest, what you like the look of. Come on. That is an outstanding start. That was actually a tiny bit toey with the LTDX, but that's bounding up the middle of the fairway. A lovely little draw there, and that actually didn't feel that bad. I must admit, the more and more this test goes on and the more and more I hit this, the more and more I think it wasn't that bad, was it? Cobra have had some fantastic drivers in their time. For me, I'd love to see Cobra go back to that black and yellow colouring, you know, like the F9, like the Speed Zone, or the SZ, like some people called it, who had no idea what they were talking about. Come on, same again. Right, this is going to be interesting because they were both exactly the same strike, just a little bit toey, and that one's turning over as well. If these are neck and neck, then we really can't split these. The numbers were similar. I mean, I'm a human, this is human testing. It's not computer testing or robot testing. And out here on the golf course, I think it's fair to say, just 2 very good drivers, and Cobra have got the hands full to improve on them for next year. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that these drivers have performed pretty similar. the Aero Jet has just taken it, but was in the rough. Guys, I'll let you make your own mind up which one was the winner there. Obviously, we are talking a slight different budget for these clubs. Smash that subscribe button. I can't wait to see you all at the same time tomorrow. Goodbye.